How do I deal with feelings of self-doubt in front of managers and clients and feeling like I don't have a right to be in the room?
Yeah, once again, this is very contextual. I think it's natural as a human being to experience feelings of self-doubt. In fact, sometimes I get concerned when people never experience some degree of self-doubt. Because I think that's part of being human is assessing our behaviors. But also I think if it's up there on the continuum, and it can become paralyzing, the impact of self-doubt, and it can really stop you from contributing. It can stop you from, even being in the room. It can stop you from putting your hand up for projects. And that degree of self-doubt is not healthy. Generally, I find that degree of self-doubt is something that it's pretty hardwired. And if you want to shift it, you're probably best to do that with a therapist. Often it comes from childhood messages, and it can be one or the other. I've experienced it one or the other. So it might be you might have had a lot of messages as a child. You're not good enough, a lot of criticism, who are you, those sorts of messages, which you then take into your future life and have replaying in your head. Or you might have had a parent who was constantly telling you how wonderful you were, like you might have finished last in the running race, but they told you were a winner. And then you've got no sense of, yourself and who you are. So that can feed that self-doubt. But both of them are quite deeply, they are the sort of things that are quite deeply wired. I know with a lot of my clients, what I do as in helping them shift that is I say, okay, you've been given this script and you repetitively heard this script. And I've got this wonderful woman who I listen to called Tara Brach, and she's an American psychologist. She releases a talk each week on all of these topics, sort of self-doubt and accepting imperfection, accepting ourselves. And so I prescribe my clients to listen to one of her talks for 15 minutes a day religiously. So it's almost like they're, developing an alternative inner script so that eventually that script becomes their go-to script rather than the script of I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, or, that fear of failure. Another thing I work with my clients is the physicality. Yeah. So often the body will lead the mind, or lead the mind. So Amy Cuddy, who's another psychologist, she wrote an interesting book on this. And it's like, even if you're feeling the self-doubt, if you can physically show up as, in your body as sort of embodying strength and confidence, then that has an impact on your ability to overcome that self-doubt. And my final one, this is a bit controversial. So I get clients, we're all human, and so it's all shared humanity. Just because someone's got a title or being paid more, it doesn't make them more or less human. And so I get people to imagine.
You're imagining them naked? Is that what we're doing? Is that what's happening?
I imagine everyone's sitting on the toilet.
Not controversial. Sound advice.
It's something we all do. So, just imagine, if you're thinking, oh God, should I be saying this? Should I not? Just imagine everyone sitting on the toilet, and all of a sudden you might find you're able to overcome that barrier. But it is a really hard thing. And just to address imposter syndrome, sometimes imposter syndrome isn't imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's actually a sick system that you're working in. Sometimes it's a system that is giving you the message that you're not allowed to speak up, or your word is not worth as much as somebody else. So everything doesn't have to come back to your own pathology. so have a think about the pathology of like the system you're working in as well. And sometimes it's good to shift a bit of responsibility back into that.
Yeah, excellent. Jazz, imposter syndrome for you, or
You've seen my keynotes where I've got like slides that are 6 meters high that say, Jasmine Badia, I've got no idea what I'm doing, which is how I feel, half of the time, people think you've got all the answers, and I feel like I'm 16 walking around and people want answers and life advice from me, and I don't really, I'm impressed with myself that I'm actually functioning, right? So obviously in a professional context, I know what I'm doing, but there's nothing wrong with you if you feel sometimes that you're totally sort of inadequate, because this just happens to all of us, that you go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. You can have all the qualifications, you know exactly what I'm doing, and yet you're feeling this way. And if you can manage through that and just get yourself out there, and with experience, with positive experiences, I think it will get easier eventually, but that feeling never goes away. I mean, sort of, it hasn't.
Try being a therapist, and when you've got issues going on in your own life, and then you're on a session like this, and you're thinking, well, who am I to tell anybody anything? So
amazing. The psychologist with imposter syndrome. That's an amazing idea, actually.
Yeah.
That's quite common, right? Like a lot of psychologists are psychologists, because
absolutely. I always think, why am I the wise person imparting wisdom?
Yeah, great point.
Because you studied that stuff, so you're definitely qualified.
Yeah, that's where I end up. But
yeah, I mean, one of the, we actually had this as a question in an event we did in Adelaide last night as well, and one of the other things that we kind of talked about was, like, if you don't have a little bit of like imposter syndrome, you don't have a little bit of self-awareness. Yeah. Like it's and in fact, some of the people at the event would say, like, if someone doesn't have a bit of it and thinks they're just great at everything, they're the people to run a million miles away from. Because, yeah, it's quite hard. I think we do have like a narcissist question coming up later. So
I was about to say, a little bit of humility goes a long way, right?
Yeah. So we'll return to that question a little bit later. So Jazz, coming next to you with a career change question. So I'm 35 years old and I'm braving a career change towards this beautiful creative industry. I've enrolled on a bachelor degree in communication design and about halfway through. I have previous experience, however, not with a proper job title as a designer. For my surprise, it seems to be an unspoken rule at the start of someone's career to work for free and for far too long so you can get the necessary experience to do jobs. I cannot afford to work for free. I'm struggling to see the support to newcomers in the industry. My teachers are advising me to work on unpaid internships, and honestly, that is unacceptable. How should I proceed from here?
Oh my God, work for free.
The fact that teachers are advising that, I mean, I think, one, send them our way, because we do a lot of work in this area.
So, like, who are these people? Why are they suggesting this? This is the root cause of everything. I mean, if you need to run a business, if someone's running a business on the back of free labor,
it's not a business.
They shouldn't exist. Let's put them out of business. That's how I feel about this. This is outrageous, actually. But to answer the question for the specific person, good on you for doing this at 35. I would have never had the courage, because I've been in the same career for a really, really long time. But good on you for doing this and doing what you want to do in life, because life's fucking short. So with the determination to put yourself through that, there will be opportunities for you. Definitely don't work for free. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, because as someone that's running a business, usually sort of, salary brackets, they're all based on seniority levels and years of experience, because we are in a service industry. So we are selling services to clients. Clients also demand certain seniority, unless you're some unicorn that is so incredible with a short experience in whatever field you're doing, like design. So it's not going to be easy. You might need to take a step back and a pay cut, which is probably experience. But I do not think that going in anywhere for free. I think you. I don't want to say this is your fault. There's something fundamentally wrong with those people that are suggesting that, but there must be different places where you can get the experience and actually get paid for it. But yeah, I mean, thumbs up for doing this. Courageous and very good.
Yeah, I mean, and there is we should call out, there is a challenge for entering the industry at that age, right? Like there is an element of assuming that someone's got to be young and hungry to come into this industry.
Well, it's ageism in general, right? I mean, if you go by that, like it's apparently all the young ones that have got it these days, and older people are disappearing. So
yeah, and so I think like one of the things as well is to make sure that you know what you bring and what your difference is and what you're good at, because you actually have a whole bunch of extra experience at 35 that a lot of I've just sat in a workshop this morning with people complaining about the kids coming out of uni aren't ready.
Yeah.
And so, you're actually perfectly ready for those types of positions, and to be able to kind of bring a little bit more maturity, and even maybe at some cases, some skills that they don't have. So I think one of the big things is always, whenever you're going out there, show that you're different. Showing that you're different will shut down some other opportunities immediately, which is a good thing, but it will also open up, and you only need one. It will also open up other opportunities to be able to say, okay, actually, we hadn't thought about someone like you, but this is interesting. And that one will come around. You kind of make your own luck, I think.
I think you're right on the money. We've been hiring a lot of people that are sort of described as sort of like more rounded, like, Swiss Army knife kind of people that have got like holistic and much broader experience, which makes them very interesting. And they're also therefore differ in their creative approach to things. And that's worth so much. It's just about maybe working on how to sell yourself. So maybe it's worthwhile finding someone that is a mentor potentially in the industry that has got the access that can actually help you craft what that would look like for you.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything extra from you, Martine, around, I guess like part of this is, and actually it will come into the next question as well, but like, it's just like, don't give up.